Hello, welcome to our April wrap-up. I can't believe the month is already over. Well, technically there's still like a few days left of the month, but I figured I just wanted to get my wrap-up kind of out of the way, show you guys what I've read so far, and that's about it. I have read so far 5 books this month, which is a pretty good month for me, and like I said, there's still a few days left, so maybe I'll read another, who knows. But so far, of the 5 books I've read, I've really enjoyed them all. None of them have been rated less than 4 stars, which is really good. And I even have, actually, I do not have a 5-star read this month, but I had some that were really close. Well, let's get into it. So starting off with the first book that I read this month, it was The Inmate by Freida McFadden, which this is my 3rd Freida McFadden book. And honestly, I read this in like 24 hours. It was super quick, super fast paced, really enjoyed it. The premise is basically Brooke is a new nurse at a correction facility, so like jail or prison, and she is working there when she stumbles into her ex-boyfriend who tried to kill her, and that's the reason this guy is in jail. So his name is Shane. He swears he didn't do it. She doesn't know what to believe. She could have sworn that she saw him. I guess he was like choking her with like a necklace or something. Regardless, that happens and she has to treat him because he becomes like one of her patients because he had like something happen to him, and it's a really tough, awkward situation. And basically that's the premise. It was really interesting. Again, it literally started off right off the bat super fast, very entertaining. I ended up giving this book 3.5 stars, so I lied. This was less than 4 stars, but 3.5 was still really strong. Again, I really enjoyed it, but if anything, maybe it lacked like a little bit more depth and stuff. I did see the plot twist coming. I kind of figured that was what was gonna happen, so you know, there's that. But again, if you need something to get you out of a slump or just a thriller that you think you'll read really quickly, then this is a great choice for that. The next book that I read, I do not have it physically because I read it on my Kindle because I had an ARC, so an advanced reader copy. It came out April 16th, I believe, but it is called Welcome Home, Caroline Klein. And this book was really entertaining. I did not expect that coming into it. Essentially, it's about a girl named Caroline. She lives in New York. She has like this life, and then stuff goes wrong, right? She breaks up with her long-term boyfriend who she was gonna move out to Los Angeles with. So she's kind of couch surfing, doesn't really know what to do, doesn't really know what's in it for her anymore in New York. She quit her job because she was gonna move to LA with her boyfriend. So she's kind of like just there. And then she gets a call that her dad or stepdad had like an accident and he needs her to fill in his baseball league team. So she like goes back home to her hometown to help out her father, and she ends up joining this like adult male baseball team. So it's really interesting. I am a big fan of baseball. I'm a baseball girly, right? So I really enjoyed that aspect of the book. I've never read another book with like baseball involved, and if you don't love the sport or really understand any of it, I think you'll be fine. It's not super like deep baseball things, but it's just nice, and I enjoyed that it like had that in the book. It's funny. The character is really funny. She's kind of like crazy. Like she does just these random things that you're like, what? But again, it's a work of fiction. It's funny. So there's a little bit of a romance subplot, which is always nice. Romance is like one of my favorite genres, so that was really nice and entertaining. So I liked that aspect of it as well. And it was just a nice little feel-good comfort book, honestly. It was funny, it was wild, it was endearing, and ultimately I ended up rating it 4 stars because again, I really enjoyed it and I think people would like it. So I do recommend it, and I'm so thankful that I got an advanced reader copy. Literally just got up to put on some earrings and some like lip oil because I don't know why, but I wanted to look good for you guys. So anyway, resuming, those are the first 2 books that I read this month. The third one was, I'm so excited for this book. The third book that I read this month was Firefly Lane by none other than Kristen Hanna. This is my 2nd Kristen Hanna book, and I loved it just as much as the first one. The first Kristen Hanna book that I read was The Great Alone, and I rated that one 5 stars. I love that book. It's one of my favorite books to this day. It's just so, that's a whole different story. But anyway, knowing Kristen Hanna's work now, I decided to pick this one up. This one has been on my radar for the longest time. I've had friends recommend it to me like literally since high school. I know it's been out for a while. I've seen the cover. I know it's a Netflix series, so I just never picked it up because it is a bit intimidating. It's a little thick, as all Kristen Hanna books are. Now that I read a Kristen Hanna book, I know what I'm in for. So I knew this was gonna be really good. I ended up rating this 4.5 stars just because I absolutely loved it. Definitely recommend it, and it was super special, great, emotional, but I just felt like I liked her other book, The Great Alone, better, and and so I had to have like some sort of, you know, deferential between them, but I would reread this. I would absolutely recommend this. This is the story of Kate and Tilly, who meet in middle school, I believe, or in high school. Kate has like a normal kind of American background. She lives with her family. You know, she's a teenager, so she kind of like doesn't love when her mom makes like corny jokes, but she has a mom, she has a dad, she has a sibling, she has like that typical American lifestyle, right? And then Tilly moves in across the street, but she's been living with her grandmother for the longest time because her mother is just not a good mother. She's an absent mother. She'll come and go like every 7 years, like randomly pop in, ask to take Tilly with her and stuff like that. So eventually she moves in with her mom around like high school freshman year age, and they move in across the street from Kate, and then eventually the two girls meet, and it's literally just the story of their friendship throughout, you know, their teens, their young adult life, their adult life. You know, there's trauma, there's marriage, there's employment, there's family, there's so many different things that this book touches on, and that was really, really endearing to me. Also, I remember now, the reason why I also rated this 4.5 stars was because towards the middle, I kind of found myself thinking like, oh, I wish something more was happening. It really is just a character-driven book, so it really just focuses on the two main characters, Kate and Tilly, who are the two girl best friends. But I kind of was like, I wish there was a little bit more, right? But it was still super entertaining. It still kept my attention the entire time, but there was that, you know, feeling I had, so that's why I rated it 4.5 stars as well. But you know, if you are a girl and you've ever had like a best friend and you either grow apart or you're still best friends to this day, this is a phenomenal book to read, and I highly recommend it. I will want to reread it, I feel like, in maybe like 10 years once I'm in like a different stage of my life with different friendships and whatnot, and just to reflect on like girlhood, womanhood, friendship is really interesting. So absolutely recommend this. This definitely had me tearing up. It's Kristen Hanna, so it was really emotional, very heartwarming, but also tragic in some senses, just as I feel like Kristen Hanna's works are. So I do recommend this. I absolutely loved it. I had actually first rented it out from the library, but then I was like halfway reading it and I was like, I know I'm gonna want to own this book. So I ordered it from Target and then finished it up. Luckily it got here before I could finish the library version, so I was able to finish it up with my own copy, and now I'm super happy that I have it. I am definitely gonna be buying like all of Kristen Hanna's book because she's now one of my favorite authors. Her books are so good, so absolutely recommend. Next book that I read was also a 4.5 star read, which is really exciting, back to back. It was Kiss the Sky by Krista and Becca Ritchie. If you don't know, this is book 4 in the Addicted series, or the Calloway sisters. Basically, it's like the whole Addicted series is I think 10 books, but interwoven in the series are the Calloway sister books, which this is actually book 1 of the Calloway sisters books, but book 4 in the entire series. It's pretty confusing. They're up there, I can't really see them, but I'm pretty sure this is book 4, and again, I rated it 4.5 stars, which was really interesting for me. I did not go into this book thinking it was going to be 4.5 stars. If you know anything about the Addicted series, this book is about Rose Calloway and Connor Cobalt, who are like some of the main characters in the entire series, but Rose Calloway is the second oldest Calloway sister, and this book really is just about her and her relationship with Connor Cobalt. Of course, our other favorite main characters are also in this book, you know, Lily, Daisy, Lo, Reich. They're all in it because it's all sort of like a found family aspect. So they're all in this book, but definitely focuses on Rose. And just after finishing this book, she's like one of my favorite characters, I think, in the entire series now. Oh, this was so endearing. She's so strong, she's so smart, she's so business savvy, but she has her vulnerabilities, as anyone does. And in this book, something really crazy happens to her that I did not expect at all. And just reading how she dealt with it was really sort of inspiring, and like, just, I don't know, it was really interesting. It is, I think, the spiciest book in the series to date, and that's saying something because if you know anything, again, about the Addicted series, they're spicy books. They're, you know, the main character is a sex addict, so there's that, and it happens, right? So I did not expect this one to have as much spice as it did, and it's very spicy, very almost sort of graphic, not graphic, but like it just was descriptive. So yeah, that's just a fair warning if you're gonna pick this book up. I did not know what I was going into when I picked this up, and now it is one of my favorite books in the series. It was so good. I love Rose and Connor now. Super, super exciting. I am definitely trying to make my way slowly through this series because I don't want it to end. I'm not even halfway through. I have book 5 to read now, which I think I own it. It's somewhere up there. I'm hoping to read it soon, but also like I want to take my time because I don't know what I'm gonna do with myself once I finish the entire series. Like that's scary to think about. I already love these characters so much. I think about them like randomly and I just wish they were real. I also ended up making like a little what their Instagram would look like. I'll pop up some pictures here, but after making these, I was like wishing even more that they were real because like how I would follow them in a heartbeat, right? If you want to see more of like bookish related stuff, I do have a bookstagram, which I love posting on. I'll link it here so you can check it out if you want to. Okay, moving on to my final book that I actually just finished yesterday. It was The Wishing Game by Meg Schaefer. This book has been all over BookTube, all over Bookstagram. It's like rocketed in popularity recently, so I had to pick it up. And it's really, really short. It's like fairly short. It's like less than 300 pages, which love that. Sometimes you just need a nice short fiction book. This is more of like a contemporary fiction mixed in with a little bit of fantasy. That's exactly how I would describe it. Sort of like House in the Cerulean Sea, if you've read that, or like Remarkably Bright Creatures. This book has those same vibes. I feel like those three have their own little separate genre of like fantasy fiction slightly. So yeah, this is what those vibes are. And if you have seen or read Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, you're gonna love this book, but because it has definitely that same vibe. Let me describe it to you. This is about Lucy. She is a teacher's aide and she tutors this young kid named Christopher, who is a foster child because his parents passed away. And she develops this really deep relationship with Christopher, and Christopher loves her back. And she basically wants to adopt him, right? She wants to foster to adopt him, but she does not meet the qualifications. She doesn't have money. She doesn't have her own car. She doesn't have her own place. So she's not gonna get approved to foster him. But something that they share between them two is this series of books called The Clockwork Island, I think. Let me make sure I'm not lying. Clock Island. So they share this like book series between them, the love of Clock Island, and it is a very, very famous like child's book series. And the author, she just looked up to him. She was obsessed with these book series, and the author is releasing a new book. His last, I think, final book, coming out of like a hiatus essentially because he hadn't written a book in a really long time, and it's sort of like a challenge. This is where the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory like vibes come in, because it's kind of like a challenge. Only like 4 people are competing and Lucy ends up being one of them, and basically she is a contestant and the prize is winning that one and only copy of the book, and it just goes from there. But it's really, really endearing. It's heartwarming. It's kind of sad, but also just pretty emotional. But again, it's really short, so I feel like the pacing was really good. It kind of like flowed, you know, started off a little bit slow, but it picked up like right away almost, and then just flowed right to the end. So I really, really enjoyed it. It was a nice quick read. I don't think I will think about this like for the rest of my life, and it just wasn't a 5-star read for me, but it was a 4-star read. So 4 stars, that's what I ended up reading this book. I do recommend it, mostly because I love that little genre of like fantasy contemporary fiction. It's really, really interesting, and I've enjoyed all of the books that I've read so far in that genre, and this is one of them. So I do recommend this. It was definitely really cute and endearing. So yeah, that's the final book that I just finished literally last night. Now, like I said, there are still a few days of April left, but I just don't know what I'm gonna pick up next. I'm dying to do like my TBR jar already to just start like my May read, so maybe I will do that and just kind of get ahead of that. That's a good idea that I just thought of, but hopefully y'all don't call me out on it, because I don't know if that's like cheating. It's not, it's just me reading ahead of when I should be reading. So I think I'm gonna do that. Look forward to that. I think that will be the next video, will be my May TBR jar picks, my TBR jar, TBR videos, books, whatever, you get the gist. I'm super, super excited to do that. But again, thank you for watching, and that is it for this video. Bye.